Hello everyone and welcome back to the Tom Colohue channels. Today we are covering WWE Smackdown and that means 2 hours of fun to come. Hello Patrick Ballantyne over on YouTube, great to see you. Great to see you mate. And hello on Twitch to Moxie, to Bailey and to Sean, the Baron of Colohue. Baron Colohue, that kind of works. I'm kind of into that. Moxie's is correct, there is no channel points because of the dual stream system. It doesn't quite support it as well as I would like. Something we will work on as time comes closer. Thank you Jay Quick for the host. I do need to work out this alert box a little better. I'm going to go up and then there and then see how that goes. But thank you very much for the host Jay Quick and welcome to the show. So WWE Smackdown is beginning now. We know that we're going to have Charlotte versus Toni Storm, an opportunity for Toni Storm to have her hand held high. And I also have to say an immediate thank you to the 4 people who've jumped over onto YouTube and clicked that like button already. Thank you very kindly, everyone. I do very much appreciate it. As you know, I'm slightly behind when it comes to the actual Smackdown viewing, but that's just part of the course. I like that you guys get excited and start chatting, so don't worry about me catching up. Okay, just don't worry about it. It's fine. Don't worry. But thank you to everyone who's already clicked like. We already are on 4 likes, which is damn good, considering we've been going less than 2 minutes. If you're on Twitch as well, you can of course click follow as well. Thank you, Moxie, for the host. That's perfect, isn't it? That's exactly the right size and motion. Magnificent. And thank you for letting me test that. Jay Quick says Jay Lethal is returning to Ring of Honor for the final night of this era of Ring of Honor. Shame. Should have just let the thing die. Sean says, since there are no channel points, I can say this with pride. I'm still your reigning, defending, undisputed 24/7 champion, Sean Cena. That is true. Also still technically our championship scramble champion, J-Dub, wherever he may be. Bailey says, someone asked on Twitter why the crowds are darker in AWTV than it used to be. They're not selling out the arenas either. Nobody is. Especially with COVID coming back pretty hard. Also, J-Dub, hello. I was literally just speaking about you, and you know that because you said I'm here, of course. Thank you very much, J-Dub, for renewing your Prime subscription for the 9th month. Oh, gee, right there. 9 months. We are opening Smackdown with Sami Zayn. The crowd really don't know what to do. I'm starting to suspect, by the way, that Sami Zayn has signed a new contract. 1, new music. 2, Universal Championship feud. This is exactly what Nakamura got. Oh my god, he's in a wheelchair. That is magnificent. That is perfect. I love that. So I have a new cherry Coke. Little tiny cans. Also, fun fact. I talked about I went to see Rocky Horror Picture Show yesterday. Live. Got myself a shirt, which I can't actually show too much, but I am nerd. I am big nerd. Cheers. Brock Lesnar is not expected to be at SmackDown this week. He of course had his big moment last week, and that's about as far as it's going to go in that regard. They're just doing a recap of everything last week, and I'm not ready for it. That beautiful moment that was basically everything involving Sami Zayn and Brock Lesnar. Just going to put on Twitter, all signs point to Sami Zayn signing a new contract, because look at this screen, they do. They really do. Greetings, Megan. How the devil are you? Hope you're well. I saw you reached a milestone of independent recently. Congratulations. Jay Quick is saying, Sammy is probably like, thank goodness Brock isn't here. I would be. I definitely would be. He's a little bit terrifying, isn't he? Just a little bit terrifying in every possible way. The beard actually makes him more scary. I don't even know how that's possible, but it is. Well, I did think we were going to get a actual Roman Reigns Sami Zayn match tonight, but it looks like Sammy's not quite ready for it. Jacob says the ponytail terrifies me. I don't blame you. Isn't hair scary? Hair is so scary. This is why Roman should always have his hair down and just be sweaty and topless. Sorry, wandered off a little bit there. Oh, okay, the recap package was to hide Sami Zayn getting in the ring with a wheelchair. And imagine he just got up and rolled it. Strong boos for Sami after initially being unsure. Come on, Sami, give us something good. Megan says, yeah, not bad for someone who has no clue what they're doing. Same, mate. But I got everything covered from the Game Awards. If I missed anything, it's Jeff Keighley's fault for putting so much in his show. Yeah, it's a big one, wasn't it? Jay Quick, everyone wants Roman sweating, let's be honest. It's not a gender thing. He's just hot. I did something strange to try and entertain my girlfriend recently. I was being like really nerdy and just doing the whole Shakespearean, can I compare thee to a summer's day? Too hot! You're too hot and I'm sweating and stop it. And I just did that for ages. I don't know why I do things, but I found it funny. It's very British of me, but it is what it is. Tommy says, hi Sammy, what a crybaby. Absolutely, that's sort of his gimmick. After all, we still have not seen his documentary. The betrayal hurt more, and that's fair. You're going to do something about the betrayal. Sammy, tell me you're not going to... You tell me you're not going to get Brock Lesnar suspended again. It's all becoming very Joe Gacy. Very Joe Gacy. Well, Chucky Dolls, wrestling wouldn't be dead and buried when you consider the fact that you watch for the women. So the women are certainly keeping you interested, and that keeps wrestling going. Welcome to the show. Megan says, Sammy's guys have good hair. They do, don't they? They are impeccably groomed. Impeccably groomed. Oh, hello, Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman here to deal with this. Sammy's guys are also quite buff. I'm sorry, has Paul Heyman suddenly become the good guy here? Heel versus heel is awkward, and I think Roman's going to come out the winner if Sammy's the opponent. Sean says, Sammy said Roman isn't there tonight. Interesting. Then why the fuck am I watching Smackdown? No, like seriously. Why am I watching Smackdown? Well, Chucky, there's still Brock Lesnar. He's just attacking Roman this time. Megan says, how long until Sammy's orderlies are competing for the NXT title? Well, with the way that everyone else is being released, I give him about 30 days. Okay, this is face Paul Heyman. Wolf Gamer says, speaking of Joe Gacy, I have a crazy theory about his gimmick. You go for it. You give me your craziest theories. You tell me all the wildnesses that you can. You go nuts. Sami Zayn versus Paul Heyman is a feud I didn't know I needed. Until it is right there in front of me. Sami Zayn's going to get up and just punt him, isn't he? Sean says, run, Sammy, run. Yeah, I think Sammy going to get some revenge. Okay, you guys are really far ahead of me. Where I am, they just said that Roman's not here tonight. So I'd imagine it'll be a moment before Brock comes. I'll refresh after this. BT Sport's not very good. It makes sense though. Sammy's got 2 buff guys to take the bump. Everyone gonna take the bump. To be fair, Sami Zayn is a world-class athlete, that's fair. It adds an extra layer if Heyman's been rescued by someone he shouldn't be. Brock was not announced tonight. It was nice to see him. Sami immediately sits back down again. Oh god, the overalls. As Sean says, Farmer Brock. And indeed he is. Just look how happy. Look at his happy little face. I shouldn't be this behind the guy, but I'm really behind this guy. He just looks so cheerful. Jacob says both of those guys look legit afraid of Brock. Good. Good. They should. They genuinely should. I mean, you know what your job is. Just do it. Bailey says Lesnar probably makes $500,000 for 2 hours tonight, and also he's probably worth it. Megan suggests Chainsaw Massacre Farmer Brock. Pat McAfee is terrified. Outright terrified of Brock. I can understand why. I'd imagine they've kissed before. That ponytail is so high. It's not right. Okay, looks like Brock's just going to have a nice sit down. Paul Heyman's just stood in the corner waiting for his moment. Can't help but imagine that someone's going to get F5'd into that chair. Can't help but see that one coming. Microphone, you more. Paul Heyman just behaving there. If Brock's anything like he was last week, I'm going to be very, very happy. Just very, very happy. Oh, he is. It's just classic Brock Lesnar. And by classic Brock Lesnar, I mean this is nothing like Brock Lesnar. In a good way. In a good way. You've just said it's funny, Sammy. Make your mind up. James says Brock with his Leatherface costume. Like it. Noob says, hey Tom, just found out what injury Asuka suffered. It's a rotator cuff injury because I heard it from a fan on Twitter. Right, Noob. Is that a fact or is that their opinion? Sean says Brock isn't really Canadian and he's born in South Dakota. No, but he feels like Canada's his home. Omega just shouts Nixon Newell, which is right. Wolfgamer says, I think his whole inclusive shtick is a farce. Whenever he smiles, I get this feeling that he's going to snap at any second. So his inclusive character could be like a, take a deep breath and count to 10 thing. Thing is trying to, I guess, start a new Wyatt family faction. I'm not sure who you're referring to be completely honest with you, Wolfgamer. Brock's not starting any faction. Jacob says Brock could play Harlan's father in a weird David Lynch type WWE movie, and will one day, I'm sure. I'm excited to hear Brock on the mic. When did that happen? Gacy. Right, okay, Wolf. Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I get that. I like what you're saying then. Sammy's being very brave. This is like an intervention. An intervention? Why does Brock want to make best friends with Sami Zayn, and why do I need this buddy cop movie? Everyone knows he's from Montreal. Everyone knows that. Just mugging at the camera. Why is Brock suddenly the best thing in wrestling? Alpha male, yep. Is this like Godfather offering the hose, but it's Brock offering Saskatchewan? Was he about to try and make Lesnar vegan? Oh, I need that speech. Sammy, go with the man. You're not vegan anymore. Just accept it. The orderlies are just letting him go. Heyman is all of us. Wow, Paul. I know, Jado. I'm going to refresh it after this. We have Megan. Twilight Zone indeed. I'm pretty confident Brock's still a beast. And just like that, Paul Heyman is doing the full introduction again. And goodbye, orderlies. Oh, that did not go well. That didn't go well either. Oh, bloody hell! Brock! Do you want to just give him a moment, you know? That was brutal. Just ate him alive. I think the wheelchair was supposed to go over immediately, but didn't quite work out. So once again, really enjoying these opening segments, including Brock Lesnar and Sami Zayn. It's just fun. Paul Heyman just grinning on the outside. That feels like old times. The good old days. Just to be clear, guys, you don't need to worry about spoiling things for me. I don't really care. So if you want to react to things, go ahead and react to things. That works for me. But yes, I am quite far behind. They are running down the card. RKBro, New Day and the Usos all competing tonight. That should be a hell of a match. Logically, the New Day should be winning, but they should be pinning Matt Riddle to do so. It just makes the most sense. Brock in his overalls just going home. Moxie, that kind of happened. I think Paul Heyman just got a little bit overexcited. Sean's going to see the Eternals tomorrow. Let me know if it's any good, because I'm not convinced. Right, let me try and refresh this, because my God. There's behind and then there's behind. It's hard work, this whole professional streaming stuff. Watch parties, watch-alongs. It's hard. Wolfgamer says, damn it, Paul, I wanted to see the insanity that Brock and Sammy got into and you went and ruined it. I like that as a plan. They should have just done that and then just had vignettes. Just good old-fashioned vignettes, like every week or so, of just Brock and Sami having a real tense relationship, but also kind of having a really good time. That would be really infuriatingly fun. Like, potentially just the best thing. Pardon me. Potentially just plain the best thing. I'm disappointed now that they're not doing that. What a horrible world we live in that they're not doing that. Why can't you just give me what I want? All I want is vignettes of Brock Lesnar and Sami Zayn becoming best friends. You know? I'm just disappointed. Just give me best friends of Brock and Sami. I think I've earned it. I watch wrestling. I do like that the header for WWE Twitch is literally just Sami on Brock's shoulders about to get thrown around. I'm behind it. Yeah, I'm behind it. Moxie says he said Brock is a future Universal Champion. Doesn't necessarily mean he's back with Brock. Moxie, Rowan will not do that. Roman is not there. Bailey said Brock and Sami team really hell no. I believe it's Team Saskatchewan at this point. They would never be friends. Brock is a keen hunter. Sami's a vegan, first and foremost. They would never be friends. And yet they're having a great time. Just a great time. So I've had a strong start to SmackDown, but that was the same last week and it didn't quite pay off all the way through. They need to keep it hot. They need to keep us interested. Not sure what the main event's going to be. It could be Charlotte Toni. I suspect it may be the triple threat tag match, just based on it being the triple threat tag match to determine the best tag team in the WWE. You remember when the brand split was a thing? Do you remember? I suspect they've just realised that they have no one to go against Roman, so you might as well throw Randy Orton in there to start, isn't it? It'll be a good moment for Riddle. Going up against some new and interesting people. I don't believe Riddle has faced off against anyone in New Day or Usos before. Oh no, he has faced off against New Day. I remember that now. Always need to take a moment and just remind myself of these things. Brock Lesnar is walking backstage. Kayla Braxton is apparently going to go fine. Simple from Brock. Teasing the continued relationship there. And we're opening with Los Lotharios. They need to start opening with some stronger matches. I know it's going to be Shinsuke and that's going to help get the crowd hot, but last week we started with Sasha versus Shayna. That was good. Megan says, I thought I heard Cole say the tag match was the main event. It made logical sense. I didn't hear it personally, but I'd be happy with it. Bailey says, how many consecutive weeks has Nakamura been on SmackDown? I'm thinking maybe a year at this point, to be honest. This time last year he signed a contract and he got some assurances. It's paid off. He's getting a long championship reign because no one's trying to get the championship off him. He's been featured every week. He's got his own hype man, who's also getting a good push from this. Sean says, do you think Braun Breaker is a guy that will eventually beat Roman? A follower on Twitter says what Billy has been reporting. No, Drew McIntyre is going to beat Roman. The idea that Braun Breaker is going to beat Roman is ridiculous. Braun's not even overturned Tommaso Ciampa yet. There are a lot of tiers between that. But here's the thing, Sean. A lot of people, a couple of years ago, were reporting that Keith Lee was going to be Roman's next big feud. How'd that work out? A lot of people get very excited. Also, Billy Batty don't know shit. As has been repeatedly proven. Just repeatedly proven. Right, so what are we actually getting this week? Because we've seen basically every possible permutation of this feud, this match, this combination. We've seen every possible connection. What have we got left? How many times can we see the same thing, the same match, the same everything? What can they deliver that's new, exciting, and different? I like that the bell goes, you just hear boogs. Okay, we're getting the tag match again. I wonder who's actually going to be involved in the finish for this one. Either Boogs loses or Nakamura wins, basically. Wolfgamer is asking if Nakamura has a hand injury. I didn't see one, but let me have a... Oh yeah, it looks like it. It looks like he's just he's braced his wrist. I'm going to say finger injury, actually. He's got his fingers taped together. He's got a support finger. Yeah, I'm going to say broken finger. Sean says, do we think Rick eventually turns on Nakamura and demands a title match? No. I reckon they're good for a while yet. But I'm sure as this WWE will happen eventually. But I reckon they've got a while yet. They seem to be just having a great time together. Who wouldn't, to be fair? Being paired up with those two, you're just guaranteed to have fun. Jay Quick says, is Nick Khan hoping that the day one pay-per-view becomes one of the big five... One of the big pay-per-views where you'd have 5 or 6 big pay-per-views? No. What the hell? Guessing they're not risking the injury. They wanted Nakamura to get the win but didn't want to risk the injury is what I'm guessing. To be clear, that is a guess. But it would make sense. Nakamura's holding up the championship, just in case we forgot about it. That was definitive. Logically, they must move on now. Maybe because Hardy's no longer with the company, Baron Corbin suddenly become available. And will they start challenging for the championship now? King Woods is being recrowned. Megan is hype. Okay, so we're getting a bit of a recap when it came to Raw and Bobby Lashley, which is a hell of a lot more than Raw actually managed, because Bobby Lashley just sort of turned up, speared some people during the commercial break, and we never really saw him again. So at least we've got some follow-up on that. Jay Quick says, they heard there was fruitcake and catering, they wanted to get there quick. I can't stand fruitcake. Speaking as someone who always has emergency cake, fruitcake can go to hell. Fruitcake isn't even cake. I want actual cake. I want something so sugary that I'm going to regret it for the next 70 years. You know, I can't think of anything that would make me, you know, anything that would really explain why I desperately need sugar at all times. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, I have cravings sometimes. No, it's not that, Moxie. Megan, have we been making enemies here? Megan, I get the feeling you're going to become my villain. Or I'm already yours. One or the other. Either way, I think we're getting enough villain backstory out of each other. No, barely. Full fat all the way. I'm a little guy, I can handle it. For the longest time, there's a song in Rocky Horror that starts saying, a weakling and weighing 98 pounds. That was me. That was me. Not so much anymore. I got some pudge now. That's good. But until then, it was a problem. Well, Wolfgamer, has suggested a cherry Coke cake. Firstly, I enjoy the phrase cherry Coke cake. It just sounds fun. Additionally though, a cherry Coke cake, just in general, sounds like an amazing experience for everyone involved. So why is nobody else talking about cherry Coke cakes? If everyone was talking about cherry Coke cakes, everything would be better. My life would be better. Your life would be better. Everything would be better if there were more cherry Coke cakes and people who are behind the concept of a cherry Coke cake. So that while we're sat watching SmackDown, all we really end up talking about is cherry Coke cakes. Wouldn't life be good? Wouldn't life be grand? Wouldn't life be great? Wouldn't life be swell if we had those options? But no, we don't. We don't. Moxie says, Tom, I demand a Universal Championship match against your cherry Coke. You would lose. Cherry Coke is my life. When did this become a thing, by the way? I just bought a pack of cherry Coke, and it's just like quite a lot of cans. And now suddenly it's become a thing? Am I going to have to do cherry Coke merch? Is that the future? Cherry Coke King merch? I don't really fancy it. They are really pushing that tag team triple threat hard. Ricochet looks good in glasses. I forgot Drew Gulak was a thing. Was Xavier Woods there the whole time? Clotter of bloodlines. Nice. Megan says, if anyone is going to be the villain, it's me. I have the coat, the cloak, the resting bitch face, and the weapons. Well, that's large. Too large. This is very, very large. I also have all of those, Megan. That's all I wanted to say. Sean says the greatest tag team in WWE is The Shield. Well, if we're going that way, we'd have to say DX and stuff and go all the way back. Thank you, Megan. Moxie wants cherry Coke merch. J-Dub seems to want cherry Coke something. Jermaine says, hi Tom. Welcome, Jermaine. I expect New Day to win the match tonight. Me too. I expect New Day to pick up the win, probably pinning Matt Riddle to do so. I like that the New Day there remembered that the Viking Raiders are also a tag team. Dr. Pepper is sold here, Bailey. I have tried it. I like it. I don't like it as much as cherry Coke. Megan says it has to be large. They can't risk ruining Xavier's magnificent hair. And he does have a lot of it. Like a lot of it. KJ says, any thoughts on how the main event ends? With Riddle getting beaten up by Xavier Woods. That's what I think will happen. I can't see either of the tag teams who are champions winning. Just doesn't make sense to me. We're talking Drew McIntyre. Just, they're also really focusing on Sheamus. Like, they're really focusing on Sheamus. And hiding Jeff Hardy very well. Hello, Conrad. How you doing, sir? Welcome. Welcome, Marcus. Great to see you. Megan says, cherry Dr. Pepper is a delicious thing. Did not know that was a thing, so I'm looking into that now. And KJ says, this is Randy's first time on SmackDown since what, 2019, before the draft or shake-up? I think so. I'm not entirely sure. I know he's a SmackDown original. As in the brand split, he's an original there. Adam Pearce has an office. And Drew McIntyre is in it. With a sword. Does he literally just go everywhere with a damn sword? Is that not a bit creepy? Keep mentioning a higher authority. Just say Vince. It is a nice looking crown, isn't it, Jermaine? Big. Well, that's a crap table. Megan says, I also have a villain look in mind. If Poison Ivy and the Darkling combined, that would be my vibe. And Megan can only find info on matches, not appearances. Fair enough, fair enough. I expect we'll get a little more out of Drew. Do you like something else tonight? Sheamus is on his way down to the ring. Rocking the brightest of lights. I don't know how he can see. I just keep thinking you must be getting real blind. No Rich Holland this week. Maybe Rich Holland is getting his own entrance. I'm going to go ahead and not trust it. Cesaro's backstage looking at something over there. Something over there. Also, he's clearly waiting for a cue and missed it. It is Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus next. Not really a surprise. Drew McIntyre has been heavily pivoted. So logically, for the next few weeks and months, Sheamus and Rich Holland will be taking on Drew McIntyre and Cesaro. Which I'm not against. I'm just pausing and thinking about that particular combination. That's hot. Jermaine says, I was wondering why are they not allowed to say Vince McMahon is a higher authority or just say higher authority? I'd imagine because that would make Drew go to Raw, where he would try and cut off Vince McMahon's head. Also, maybe it'll be Shane. Maybe it'll be Stephanie, but maybe it'll be Shane. WrestleMania's close. Last time we saw Shane was last year's WrestleMania, where he fought against someone. It was someone. Do you remember that someone? They don't. They released him. They fired him. He wrestled Shane McMahon at WrestleMania, and he's no longer with the company. What the hell? Marcus is pointing out that Johnny Gargano has a t-shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees. Yeah, Johnny's gone, mate. Johnny's full on gone. He's not coming back. Megan has confirmed the last match Randy Orton had on SmackDown was the 4th of October 2019. 6-man tag. New Day versus Orton and the Revival. New Day won. I remember FTRKO. I remember it very fondly. Imagine that, but add edge to it. Rated FTRKO. I would love that. Not enough is said about that trio because it was such a good trio. I don't know how, but it just worked. And it worked so well. And then after that, the Revival were paired up with Shane McMahon. Or was it before? It was one or the other. And it just didn't quite work. At the same time, of course, Drew McIntyre was being paired with Shane McMahon. What I'm trying to say is, as we all know in reality, this all comes down to Shane McMahon. And sometimes you just got to stop and think about Shane. Just about Shane McMahon. Megan says, sorry, my mistake, got the date right, but the match wrong. The actual match was Strowman, Otis, Tucker and Miz versus AJ, Dolph, Rude and Randy. Wow, that is an awful match. That is an awful match. KJ says, breaking. After Drew McIntyre, nicknamed Scottish Psychopath for obvious reasons, as you see, has stabbed an innocent desk live on national television, WWE reportedly is moving away from the PG era and back to the TV 14 days. It is expected that this Drew and his sword will continue to wreak havoc week after week. Week after week. Do you remember that report ages ago now? The WWE was going back to, big, scary, dark moments on TV, and then literally nothing happened. I believe that was around December 2019. No, December 2020. It was about a year ago. and the report came out. They're leaving PG behind. They're going more TV-14, and then nothing happened. KJ says FDR in AEW is so perfect right now. Not watched enough of it. WWE are hyping Toni Storm versus Charlotte Flair. Mentioning the championship contenders match. The reason for the championship contenders match, essentially, Charlotte's pulled a string or two. And this should hopefully end with Toni Storm at least having her hand raised a little. Oh, she's getting the Sasha Banks rub. Sasha Banks is taller than her. That's not good. Okay, literally, Sasha's there just rubbing away. It's not great. Very transparent. Bailey says a year from now we'll be able to go through the 2021 WWE cut list and marvel how many never stayed in the business. That's correct, yes. Many of them have no intention of continuing with wrestling. Like a lot. And Jermaine says, that's great. Adam Pearce struggling to get sword out of the desk looks like a scene out of Excalibur. That'd be cool. I'd enjoy that. Oh god, this is so bad. In no way did Toni Storm express any personality there. She just agreed with things that Sasha Banks said. We need to see some actual character from Toni Storm. Not character from other people when Toni Storm is nearby. Drew McIntyre heading down to the ring with no sword. Just looks strange now, no sword. Sean says, how does this feel for a War Games match sound? On the Raw side, Finn, Seth, AJ, Randy. Versus on the SmackDown side, Sheamus, Drew, Ricochet, and Cesaro. And it sounds brutal in a good way. Decent bit of acting to just go like that. KJ is saying, is Toni going to win with Banks helping? Well, she'd need to because she's not going to win clean. Definitely not going to win clean. So logically, Sasha Banks will have to help somehow. This might be a great time for a ref bump, I'll say that. McIntyre versus Sheamus never disappoints, does it? They just beat the crap out of itself. Is Sheamus wearing an elbow brace? Yes, he is. No Rich Holland, only a brief showing of Cesaro so far. See, this is the match that should have opened the show. This keeps people. Our draw segment is up next. Logically, that'll be Charlotte versus Toni. So I'd give this match at most 7 minutes. Like it says, Pierce, you utter weakling. Bless him. Sword's right in there. And KJ says, I miss Hardy. Do you, though? He wasn't being used. I know we've seen him a little bit more the last few weeks, but the guy's been on main event more than he's been on Raw or SmackDown. That's the case for years. Sean says, saw a tweet that said Nakamura won the IC belt on August 13th. In the 4 months since, he's only had one defense. Now, I believe he's defended it against Apollo Crews multiple times. I'm not sure, but I believe so. Sheamus just full-on brutalising Drew McIntyre's chest there. It looked like they were going to do something with Hardy, but nothing really came of it. How has Sheamus already got the brightest tits in the known world? What did Drew hit him with? They are both bright red. Jesus Christ. Jaden said he also defended in the UK a few times. If that was live shows, it wouldn't technically count. Although it does when they lose. Like when AJ Styles won the WWE Championship. That's in a live show in the UK. Nobody in the US actually got to watch it. I'll be interested to see how the SmackDown ratings do this week. To be entirely blunt, Raw's been better than SmackDown the past few weeks. There we go, Megan. He's had 11 live show title defences, but only one on TV, which was against Apollo, since he won the title 4 months ago. So I had a piece of the puzzle, but not the whole picture. Megan bringing the stats as always, but thank you very much, Sean, for bringing that one. Interesting. Little things like that are very telling. The Intercontinental Championship run has been going for a while. It's starting to remind me of the Dean Ambrose United States Championship run, where he had the belt, and he always had the belt, and nobody seemed to want the belt, so he just kept the belt. Like, no matter what was happening, he just kept hold of the belt. Nobody could get him off him because nobody was trying to. At no point did he really have to defend it because literally no one was interested. With Nakamura, that's kind of where we're going. He still technically owes Baron Corbin a match, which may be why the feud with Los Lotharios has been ended, if indeed it has, by the brevity of that tag match earlier tonight. It would make sense, but it wouldn't necessarily be the right move to be so quick about it. Have to wait and see how it plays out. But Los Lotharios sure seem to have been definitively beaten there. That would free up Nakamura to make some title defences. I'd like to see him against Ali, Ricochet. There's some good options there. Sean says Dean lost it in a battle royal, I believe, to Sheamus. I believe it was Sheamus, yes. Jermaine says if they really want to build up Toni Storm, they need to give her a match with Charlotte at least 10 minutes. I suspect they will. At least I hope so. I'm confident it'll be the draw segment, and I'm confident they'll have at least a little time to do something with it. And KJ says Shinsuke's beaten Jinder and Apollo 5 times apiece at live shows. I keep forgetting Jinder's on SmackDown with DJ Shanky. Megan says Apollo, in the same amount of time, that being 4 months, defended the IC title on TV 4 times and on live shows 3 times before he lost the title to Shinsuke. The IC title has not been the strongest recently. It did wonders for elevating Apollo. It was good for Big E. Then it just sort of stayed around there. Nakamura's a good champion and should have championships. But honestly, at this point, that particular belt is doing nothing for him. I'd rather have him at least competing for the Universal Championship. Hey, what am I doing complaining? We're watching Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. They're just brutalising each other in the very classic sense. We've seen a lot of this. I have no issue seeing more. The Celtic Warpath suits me just fine, thank you. Where's Ridge Holland? I do like that Sheamus has added the knee to his repertoire where he could just put a brogue kick. It's the same motion, you just extend your leg slightly more and there's your finisher. Why wouldn't you do your finisher? Why would you do a knee instead? I don't understand. Sheamus, you make no sense, mate. Also, genuinely, where is Ridge Holland? Good old-fashioned heel heat for Sheamus. I'd be putting him against Nakamura soon. Going for a roll-up. That's not really the way that... that's not logical. Was that a super kick from Sheamus? He did a thigh slap and everything. I can imagine these two having a... Shingo Takagi Minoru Suzuki sort of feud. There's a Claymore. Sheamus kicked out after the 3, which is a way of saving a little bit of face. Bit of an out of nowhere there. Megan says, I missed the finish because BT Sport is meh. It is. BT Sport's always letting us down. KJ says, I love WWE, but their overall booking is borderline trash. SmackDown since the drafters fell off, won't argue with that. At least this show is good so far, but they've released so many people, it's not new stuff or anything fresh, and they're over relying on top names. I do agree on some of that. They could do a lot better with their rotation. We do get a lot of repetitive stuff when we could instead have, you could just involve Ali, Ricochet, Drew Gulak, the Viking Raiders. You could involve them, which they're not doing otherwise. Baron Corbin and Riddick Moss have stolen Drew McIntyre's sword. This is where we are now. That's SmackDown. Stealing swords. Jermaine says, why doesn't the WWE just do a tournament to see who faces Nakamura for the IC belt? I would like that. I would like that. I like the WWE tournament style. Their tournaments are usually very good. Okay, we're getting a vignette. For someone I don't remember. I do remember the Blackjack name going far. Remember Blackjack Bradshaw, for example. Okay, just says, like, how do you have Jeff Hardy not want to use him? He's the most over man in the world. They didn't trust him. They just didn't trust him. And now here we are again. Jeff Hardy, a free agent. Well, shortly. Sean says, turn the blade of Drew's sword into energy and it would be a lightsaber. Yes, that is how swords work. And Wolfgamer says, I guess Pierce just left his office and Corbin and Moss took his desk with no one noticing. Well, if you put his desk on wheels, that's always going to happen eventually. Yeah, this is... Jack Lanza is not someone I'm aware of, unfortunately, but clearly gave a lot to the company, and nothing but respect for those that leave us. The juxtaposition could have been better there. Hey, this guy's dead. Let's rave. It's not... So the draw segment is going to be Naomi and Sonya Deville. I'm interested first and foremost to see if this match actually happens. If Sonya Deville comes down in a suit, it ain't happening. Although she can wrestle in a suit, we've seen it. Getting Sonya Deville on SmackDown was the best thing that the WWE did with this draft. Like, full on. KJ says Jeff Hardy should have been booked like Edge, but it's a good point that they couldn't trust him. I think he messed up 3 or 4 times since coming back in 2017. I agree that he should have had some sort of the Edge booking, as it were, but we are where we are on that one. I think Jeff Hardy is a legend and should have been treated like one, to be fair. KJ thinks Xia Li shows up. Well, she may be hired as Sonya Deville's protector. We'll find out if she's actually going to be a face or not. After all, yeah, you're right. She's debuting tonight. So we've got Naomi, Sonya. We've got Xia Li debuting. We've got the triple threat tag match. We've got Charlotte Flair versus Toni Storm. This last hour is going to be pretty damn packed. Sean says Alexa posted another tease on her Instagram of a picture of her match with Shayna at Hell in a Cell. Yeah, I remember that. It was weird. Megan says, nah, Sonya's coming out in a suit to mess with Naomi. It's getting drawn out longer and I'm not so keen on that. I get the feeling they're going that way as well. I am genuinely starting to think they are building towards a Naomi win at the Royal Rumble. Alexa started basically taking from the school of John Cena trolling, which is always nice. That's how you should do it. You're missing a few people, aren't you, KJ? Megan says, this is why Roman isn't there. They needed entrance time to fit Zayas matching tonight after all the hype. I mean, I kind of get what you're saying there. It's a long entrance. It's a long one. Sean says, if Naomi wins the Rumble, how could they barely get the match of Becky? The same way they do every other match at WrestleMania. They just have them involved. Not everyone wins the Rumble after all. I mean, Baszler got the match with Becky by biting her. So, do you remember that? Remember the bite? I know that technically, yeah, as Megan's mentioned there, won the Elimination Chamber, which was a very, very good moment for Shayna. But ultimately, it was the bite. I can't say for sure, KJ. I believe she's on track. However, I cannot guarantee, so I'm not going to guarantee. Bailey says you could have Naomi win the Rumble, but Sonya puts her out with a kayfabe injury. If she wins the Rumble, she needs to go to WrestleMania. I did, Megan. I enjoyed that. Saying, did you see that Shayna called out Graham Norton? Hilarious. That will get us some mainstream exposure. That will get her WrestleMania time. Also, to be fair, I would imagine that Graham Norton and Shayna Baszler would actually be very good friends. I don't know why. I just do. Shayna, by the way, is really nice. Like, just genuinely a really nice person. They are pushing this tag team match again. There comes a point where it's too much. They're piping in some fake cheers every time as well. Because the cheers happen at the exact same time. We have a backstage Paul Heyman. Oh, hey, we have a Braxton Heyman moment. Always the best. I love their relationship. They hate each other. Simple question, right to the point. Good answer. Jadeb says, serious question. Do you think Kayla stands on a milk crate when giving interviews? She looked almost as tall as Heyman in that segment. She has high heels and Heyman is not that tall. Oh, hey Wiggly. Sorry to hear that, mate. Hopefully you get to watch some of the show. Correct, KJ. It was pre-recorded. But yeah, he's a busy man. They've just started Naomi's music again. She's been stood in the ring that whole time. And they just started her music again because Paul Heyman stopped talking backstage. We're getting a Naomi Shayna recap package. This is very similar to the Liv Morgan package. They are definitely dragging this out longer. One way or the other, this is just going to keep going. Yes, Wiggly. I'm not sure what I said, but yes. She's not the strongest promo, is she? She's just not the strongest promo. Sonya does have new music. It's a bit Roman Reigns, that. Well, okay, the intro was. What is she wearing? So she's mixed her wrestling gear and a suit together. Oh my God. Nope. Push that woman to the fucking moon. KJ says, as a person who went to a Raw years ago, yes, when they go to commercial after an entrance, they cut the music off, they go to commercial, start it back up. They do, yes, it's fucking awful. Jade says she looks awesome. I hope she actually wrestles. Well, she's got new wrestling gear. She might as well. Wiggly says Naomi with someone else when she's with Brodus Clay. Yes, Cameron. Megan says, to be fair, Graham Norton deserves to be called out. When it comes to stuff like Warhammer, you don't be a dick about it. So Graham versus Shayna at the Rumble now, please. I'll take it. Natalia's literally just hanging around at ringside. It's not a bad faction. You know, it's not a bad faction at all. Oh, we're doing this. We're doing this. Oh, okay, Naomi's off to pick a fight with Shayna. Shayna's got a hammer. That was not the smartest. Quite like that Natalya just stood there and let that happen. Okay, this has got final boss energy, but it doesn't work if Sonya just gets beat up. Oh, God. Sonya was never a coward. That wasn't her play. Okay, we're going Wyatt family. I've read what you said there, J-Dub. That would make sense. I imagine I'm about to see that. Indeed. A decent reception from the crowd for Xia Li there. We may need one more person. Right, so here we go. We knew she would be making her debut. We were fully aware of that. And yet she's randomly coming in full wrestling gear to help someone during an attack. I also hate vultures, that's fair. Naomi not sure if she's coming to help or hurt. Sonya Deville, I think, also enjoyed that entrance. Okay, that music was about to go somewhere, and then it just sort of didn't. Right, so it's just becoming a woman's tag. Xia Li is working with Natalya. I believe KJ, you called that one. Someone called it earlier. Shayna getting beaten up. Can I just say, the women's division on SmackDown just got a hell of a lot better. Having Sonya back properly, having Xia Li involved, I'm interested. That kick was not great. Naomi could have hit a finisher there. Shayna was late. Okay, so the Protector did some protecting. And then I guess I'd say she's now just going to leave. Maybe see her next week. KJ says, any reason why they called her up? She wasn't doing anything in NXT, really. I know she had an ongoing storyline, but it wasn't something WWE really wanted to continue with. They saw a gap, decided she was the right person for it. Oh my god. Jackass is still a thing? Even Randy Orton doesn't seem that keen. Bailey says, Aaliyah now back in catering? Pretty much, yeah. I didn't expect her to feature at all, to be honest. I'm just glad that she actually did. At least briefly, she did. We may see her backstage again this week. Why is Randy Orton so red? Like, he's very bright red. I always love how carefully they space everyone out to try and be on TV. I remember when they had the whole cast of Glow and they just put them in a line. What the hell? That's not how things happen. Oh, god damn. Nobody does power like Charlotte Flair. No idea, J-Dub. Tommy's just not really a fan. Jermaine believes that the whole segment was a waste of Xia Li's debut. I don't think they could have done much better, to be completely honest. They can't bring in local talent right now, so she can't come in and just beat up a jobber. If she's coming in and, say, beating up Shotzi, that's damaging to Shotzi. So what else could she have actually done? Like, beating up Natalya is certainly an option, but that's become par for the course. That's become standard. Honestly, they're trying to establish the character, the Protector. For me, they did that. She's going to come out, she's going to protect. So, what I'm realising I'm saying is she protects, but she also attacks. I don't know why I've said that, but I did. That's what came to mind. That's what stayed in my mind. That is what will forever be what I think. Omega says, we all got Toni winning clean here, right? Clean? No. Winning? Yes. Jermaine says, Xia Li now the female version of the APA. Here's the thing. That wouldn't be a bad character. Like the APA are really memorable. Really memorable. And it's what built Bradshaw to the point that he became JBL, a multiple-time world champion. The APA is responsible for some of my favourite memories of the Attitude Era. I don't mind it as a character because it's a hell of a lot better than Toni Storm, whose character is, I wrestle. That's everyone. Everyone there can wrestle and can wrestle damn good. Who are you? What about you am I going to connect with? When it comes to Toni Storm, I have nothing. Nothing to engage with. Nothing at all. I've got more with Xia Li after that than Toni Storm after months on the main roster. Sean says, do you think Boa and Mei Ying would have worked on the main roster with Xia? Not with this character, no. Absolutely not. Jermaine says, where's Shotzi? Ever since she went crowd surfing at the concert, she hasn't been on TV since. Her push wasn't supposed to last all that much. Honestly, she was supposed to lose to Sasha, but she would have featured a little more if not for the crowd surfing. They didn't like that. That said, I don't think she was supposed to feature all that strongly anyway. Wolfgamer says Jackass is still a thing. No idea why. I know, right? It's a little bit sadder when they're a lot older. KJ says they brought in jobbers for Hit Row. Fair, good point. I did forget that. My own problem with WWE is that they use too many of their guys as jobbers nowadays. Like, this is maybe an unpopular opinion, but why has Ziggler jobbed for years? Miz is always a rock bottom. Sammy's been a loser for a very long time, and more. Would you take them off TV then? Just actual question. Given the choice, would you take those people and just take them off TV? If they're only going to feature by losing, would you just have them not feature at all? Given the choice. So we have about 45 minutes left and at least 2 matches, which honestly I'm quite happy about. They should be good matches as well. Toni Storm has a real opportunity here to convince the fans that she's got something worth investing in, because I tell you what, I haven't seen it. I just haven't seen it. Meanwhile, that triple threat tag team match, that should just be great. 6 very well established characters. The Usos now have a lot of individuality about them as well, who are just going to go to war with each other. Is this an automatic win for anyone watching? It is just fantastic. So yeah, Smackdown. So far so good. I feel confident saying that this is genuinely a good night for Smackdown. Day 1 will feature Migos. Now, I don't know who that is. But hey, that works for me. Megan says, this has flown by tonight, or my brain is warped from being up till 4 AM every night since Sunday. Yeah, why, mate? Why? Get some sleep. Power. No promo from Charlotte this week. They just want to get to it. Jacob says, is Migos a band or a person? If a person, which of the 3 was Migos? Well, you know how people like to bring an entourage to WWE events. Bailey says, if Toni doesn't win this time on primetime SmackDown, she might as well focus on the 24/7 belt. You're not wrong. It's working out for Dana Brooke. So Liv Morgan got a proper recap package. A proper look how great Liv Morgan is video. Toni Storm gets a reminder of the pie. It's a reminder of the pie. Sean says SmackDown's trending #1. Also Sonya and Harrison Ford are trending. I'm guessing those two are linked. Sonya Deville and Harrison Ford connected forever by some form of magic. And Megan says Migos is a trio. Seemed so, yeah. I remember a film called The Three Amigos. Had Chevy Chase, Martin Short, and Steve Martin, because there was 2 Martins. And it's just a terrible film, and that's why it's fun. Also, one of my favourite Disney films, one that barely anyone has ever seen, The Three Caballeros. Basically created my love of Spanish and Mexican culture, which translated to my first girlfriend, who was a Mexican exchange student at my local college. I was not an exchange student, but I was a student. Oh, KJ's a fan. KJ, tell us about Migos, because they're new to me. Well, Charlotte just immediately flattened Toni Storm and then gloated about it. This is going to be a Roman-style match, isn't it? Oh, bloody hell. Charlotte. Terrible thigh slap. What? Like that? I like the redirection. The crowd want to be there for Toni Storm. They just need something to invest in. KJ says, let's give Toni time. She's still very young. Wasn't even in NXT that long. Also, NXT doesn't develop characters as we know. Fair. Does he, KJ? Does he? Because he's pushing the orange hair stronger than anyone else right now. Was it Bailey? I don't think it was. Megan says, my week. War Games, Raw, NXT/writing, Dynamite/writing, Game Awards, and now this. I don't know why you would bother with the concept of mornings. Just abandon them entirely. They don't exist. It'll all work out. And if you do that, 4 AM finishes, they become normal. That's what I did when I was unemployed. Mornings just ceased to be. KJ says, well, yes, Migos is a trio and they're from Atlanta, which is where Day One is. Also, they make rap music. Pretty good, by the way, but to be fair, I haven't really listened to them. Fair. So we had the double moonsault, but Toni Storm wasn't there for it. She was supposed to roll over again onto her back so that Charlotte could then finish the move. In the end, Charlotte cleared her. That's a telling botch. You need to know your opponent's offense. It's a basic. Starting to get the feeling they've not been given very long for this match because it is going at pace. That was a terrible cover. Megan says, not sure if this went through earlier, but Migos could bring Cardi B with them. She's married to one of them. Oh, interesting. Ah, yes, Bailey. So a few people do know about Three Amigos. Nice. John Belushi was indeed. They are wrestling at pace, and I like that. Please don't get a DQ loss. It's... Can't you let Toni have a mo... Oh, for fuck's sake. You can't just let Toni look good for once. Charlotte's fine having a championship match. She's just demolished Toni Storm. Why would she need to worry? Toni Storm's had nothing from this. Bailey says Toni's got a seat next to Shotzi next week. Yeah, pretty much. Toni Storm was not impressive for any of it because this entire feud so far has been Charlotte basically just shitting on her. I've been picking up on that myself, J-Dub. Didn't want to say anything because I don't know enough about it. But he's a bit different, isn't he? His focus isn't quite there. KJ says Migos also once made a song called Ric Flair Drip and had Rick in the music video. Ooh. KJ says Vince refuses to pin Charlotte. I swear, pretty much. Charlotte's got to stay strong. We're getting a recap of our opening segment when Brock just went crazy. Yeah, I was seeing that, Jada. Because I'm slightly behind you, the fact that you said that meant just I paid attention. And yeah, I can see exactly what you're saying. Wolf Gamer says, speaking of the Game Awards, a game called It Takes Two won Game of the Year. And I just had no idea it was a game or that it came out this year. It's weird. Yeah, gaming's in a weird mode right now, isn't it? I'm not really tracking things. Megan says it's probably more noticeable with McAfee since Riddle is there. I wonder if there's a connection between those two things. And KJ says 2 women's matches tonight. One didn't happen, and then this. It's not the strongest. Bloody hell, Bailey. 30 million a year. KJ as well. 30. There's big numbers. It's big numbers. 40 minutes left, and we're now gearing up for our main event. Maybe there'll be something more with Brock Lesnar tonight. I kind of hope they just give us a 40-minute match. They won't. We know they won't. But I do wish. I hope and I dream. If only we had the opportunity to get those beautiful moments. Now, before we continue, because I know we're about to get a commercial break, if I can ask a favour. At the moment, we are attempting to push the dual streams. And the idea is that we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and a large part of that is YouTube will advertise more based on your watch time levels and the amount of views you have and the amount of likes you have, and so on and so forth. At the moment on YouTube, I'm still sat at the 4 likes I was on within the first 2 minutes. So 80 minutes later, we are still unfortunately only on 4 likes. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste this into the Twitch, and I'm going to ask if you guys wouldn't mind jumping over, at least briefly, clicking that like button. Even if that's all you do, I would very much appreciate it. It basically guarantees extra viewership, and with that extra viewership, guarantees more advertising, more potential subscribers, and more growth for the channel. Thank you, J-Dub. Every little really does help, and it is what we're focused on at the moment. As we get closer and closer to that 1,000 subscribers and that 4,000 hours of watch time. Once we get to that level, I'm getting 2 lots of income instead of 1. Now, admittedly, the income isn't huge. No need to worry, J-Dub. I appreciate that. I really do. I really do appreciate that. But yeah, every little helps. Every watch minute, every watch hour, it makes a huge difference. Because you need 4,000 within a 12-hour period. Not 12 hour, in a 12-month period. You don't get 4,000 in a 12-hour period. That's not how that works. In order to get monetized. As I say, we are trying to develop towards that. And one of the things I'm really hoping for most is that at some point, I hope to have enough of a following on YouTube that I can then share that following. Which is a lot easier to do on YouTube than on Twitch. Although you do have the raid option on Twitch. YouTube for me seems to be where we're eventually heading. But at least for now, dual streams have been very effective and certainly keeps me going on Twitch where there are plenty of people chatting away. I do feel slightly guilty about the fact that quite often I'm sat here saying to people on Twitch and on YouTube, I'm focusing on this or I'm focusing on that, when you guys have given a lot to me. I'm not going anywhere. I just want to be clear on that. Dual stream will continue for as long as it can. And I'm just very excited for it. But you don't grow on Twitch. For example, over the last week, I've gained about 15 new subscribers on YouTube. I am on -2 on Twitch. With the same amount of shows, I've lost followers on Twitch, but gained quite a considerable amount on YouTube. It is just a lot easier to find YouTube content than Twitch content. So that's the focus at the moment. Thank you, everyone who does click on the link, everyone who does open the channel, everyone who does click like, everyone who watches the videos regularly. Just a huge thank you to everyone. I really do appreciate it. Wolfgamer says, someone had said that this being the game, let me just get the name back, It Takes Two, which I believe was attempted sue or something. Sold 3 million copies, had amazing reception. Never seen anyone mention it on any social media, not on any of mine. Anyways, oh well. I get that. I get what you're saying. Jermaine says, let me get this straight. Sasha came out to Toni to give us a rub just so WWE can do a DQ match. Unreal. Yeah, baffling that. That is not how you're supposed to use people. KJ says, I have one question. Why does the Usos lose so much? I'm not sure. I think when it comes to WWE, they want Roman to be far ahead of everyone, whereas they want the Usos to be slightly closer. But I'm not entirely sure. It's a good question. Now, guys, I'm going to briefly pop downstairs, get myself a new drink, and I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be back in just a moment. Please don't go anywhere, and I'll see you in just a second. I came back at just the right time. Just the right time. I don't. Adam Pearce has had a bad night. As soon as I saw the flip phone, I knew where it was going. How? No, but seriously, how did Brock Lesnar become the most exciting thing in wrestling? When did that happen and how? I want names and I want time zones. They've killed it. I like the "We Miss Bailey" sign. Okay, I'll admit, when they said "and we," I thought they were going to say "want the smoke." It's the tone. Their tone just matched up so perfectly. It looks like the backstage segment, by the way, will be the only appearance of Sasha Banks this week. Jay Quick says Brock Lesnar in overalls is scary. Brock Lesnar in anything is scary. Brock Lesnar in nothing is scary. Like, consider that for a moment. Ugh. Oh, wow. That's scary. That's all I'm saying. It's scary. It's terrifying. Jadeb says, hasn't Jimmy hit the free strikes like Hardy? If Hardy has to go, Jimmy should as well. I wonder if he has been offered help and why hasn't he taken it? We don't know if he has been offered help. We don't know if he's been offered help and taken it. We don't know if he's hit free strikes. Also, it's a slightly different situation in that it's not believed that there is an addiction there. It's just stupidity. I'm just to be clear, I'm saying this from the WWE's point of view, not from my own. We have another commercial break. Jermaine says, all due respect, RKBro currently in their only title run. To say they belong in this type of match doesn't work. They should have been the Street Profits because they were champions on both brands. Not a bad shout, Jermaine. I like what you're saying and I agree with it. Jay Quick says, Sable sees that every night. By choice, yep. It's, to be fair, she is a very strong, very brave woman, as we all know. Megan, I'm just talking about what everyone else is talking about. I bounce off the chat, alright? You should be annoyed at everyone but me. JW is asking, is anyone excited about this new Matrix movie? And I'm sick of sequels where everyone's just really old. Like, they did the new Rocky ones. I'm waiting for a new Rambo one. They did the new Star Wars ones when everyone's suddenly really old. Everyone's just really old. And, like, make new films. Just make new films where you're, like, with characters that are older. They're older out there. I don't understand. But yeah, we got a new Matrix. KJ says, Matt Hardy made a tweet just now. I feel extremely good about the future. There you have it. Yep. Matt was never going to leave his brother out in the cold, to be clear. If you've been following the Tom Colohue channels, you'll know 100% that it was never going to take long for that to happen. Megan's intrigued to see it. Jadeb says, I only like the original Matrix. The sequels were brutal. Every now and then I watch them again. And yeah. The first film was clearly written as a standalone film, and then they decided, okay, we need to make more. How? Like, we did everything we could. All right, now just make more. So they did, and it didn't work. Jacob says, do we think Charlotte and Sasha at day one? No, I still think Charlotte and Toni at day one. That does seem to be the plan, at least. Charlotte versus Sasha is probably going to be safe for WrestleMania. Yes, Megan, Matt is the older brother. Matt's a dad. Wolf Gamer, you are so right. Has anyone ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? Yeah, that was a thing. Bailey says there are only 2 movies with sequel worth watching, Godfather 2 and Terminator. Terminator 2 was extremely good, to be fair. They're just really good. Everything that followed, not so much. Sarah Connor Chronicles, but T2, magnificent. Mostly because it didn't actually focus that strongly on the villain. You know, the villain was clearly there and was clearly very involved, but it wasn't the focus. J-Dub, I do not. I do not think that's going to happen. I haven't seen it confirmed anywhere, J-Dub. It's my impression. I am not reporting it myself, to be clear. KJ says, by April next year, they'll have KO, Gargano, O'Reilly, Hardy, maybe Sammy Wyatt. I don't even mention Leon Morrison. I don't think we're going to see Bray Wyatt in AEW. Or John Morrison. The others, maybe. Honestly, with KJ, there you go, KJ. With NXT, no. With AEW, I think a lot of people are going to be dipping in and out without really committing to more than a couple of weeks. Keeps AEW fresh and keeps the wrestlers fresh. It's the right move. Yeah, J-Dub, I spoke about this a little bit earlier on spoiler warning. I have to be careful with what I say around certain stories. Like, for example, I have never reported why AJ Styles was missing for that 2 or 3 weeks. I have never reported anything official on that. And I never, ever hinted at anything that people in here might pick up on. Nope, never did that. Etc. Megan says, surely Morrison and Rotunda / Wyatt are more likely to go to Impact. Yeah, I would say so. It depends if they're willing to give Wyatt creative control, because they ain't. But Impact probably would be. Rob says T2 in the theatre was great. I was not able to watch it in the theatre. I was a little bit too young at the time and my mother would not let me go. Bailey says, are there any media companies who would invest in a third wrestling brand? Yes, quite a few. But it depends on the strength of that wrestling brand. I don't think there's any particular wrestling brand that would be invested in at the moment, apart from maybe New Japan if they went fully over to the US. He is KJ, but I just don't think he'd get a good spot there. Also, hey Robs, how you doing, man? It's been a little while. And by a little while, I mean since the last show. How you doing? The Twitter poll had the New Day in third with 23%. That is mortifying. They're going to be miserable. Also, a big thank you. A couple of minutes ago, I asked you guys to drop over to the YouTube and click like because we only had 4. We're now up to 11. Thank you very much, guys. I do appreciate that. And I can literally see the change in the viewership right there. Big thanks, guys. I really do appreciate all of the support you guys continue to provide. So, we have ourselves a tag team triple threat, a 20-minute match, which considering the entrances started 18 minutes ago, not bad. We have something new and fresh. We're used to the Usos versus the New Day. We're in fact also quite used to RKBro versus the New Day. The Usos and RKBro, that's the big change. That's the new and exciting thing that I'm most looking forward to. That, I feel, is going to be the addition to the dynamic here. They'll play up to the people who know each other and already have chemistry, which is why New Day and RKBro are starting. They already know each other. They can get the crowd warmed up because of that. But I do think the majority of the exciting period will be RKBro Usos, because that's something we're not going to see again for a while. Bailey says AEW has to move the rating before they fill up the roster with more talent. So far it hasn't happened. They got a spike with Punk, but it's settled back to where it was. It has settled back pretty much all the way at this point. I'm sure there'll be more surprises to come, but we have been talking about this. You can't bring CM Punk back every week, and the retention rate for AEW is not good. It's just not good. When it comes to the roster, by the way, Bailey, I've definitely been speaking for a while about the fact that AEW contracts are starting to run out. We finally started hearing from individuals about that. Big Swole was the first. There's more people who've already gone, who I'm not expecting we're going to see again in AEW. Just quietly left the company, said thank you on the way out, and that was that. AEW is starting to streamline and not renew the contracts for people who signed in maybe the first year. Sorry. Which will, of course, reduce the wage bill and also just be a big help for the overall show and the ratings. Wolfgamer says, yes, WWE, we know Orton and Riddler are a tag team. The best, though? It was a genuine Twitter poll. It was a genuine Twitter poll, which I feel is very telling. KJ says, I don't think any of the surprises can help ratings over the other than Wyndham Rotunda, and that's if they even get him. I don't believe they want him. His demands are just a bit too high still. KJ says maybe KO can spark and Hardy, but not long term. I agree. Rob said surprises don't sustain, and that's accurate. That is accurate. It's the presentation, the way they present their show just isn't conducive to keeping hold of people. It isn't. They've got good storytelling, they've got good stories, they've got great wrestlers, but they don't hold a viewer. They can't appeal to casuals, and that's what they're missing. They need to find some way to appeal to casuals if they're going to make this work. It is what it is, though, and they're doing what they can. Jermaine says Brock Lesnar is at his best when he shows his personality. Why? Because Brock Lesnar rarely shows his personality at all. That is very true, Jermaine, and a very good point. I think everyone is better when they're able to show some personality. Sean says, will Jericho, Moxley and the big name stay with AEW? Maybe. I can't say definitively that someone is going to stay with a company for 20 years. I can't do that. It's not possible. Jada says, people I suspect will leave AEW. Joey Janela, Sonny Kiss, Sean Spears, Cesar Bernini, and a whole plethora of dark and dark elevation people. Yes, I'd imagine there's going to be quite a few of those names heading off. Also, a few people will be moved into producer roles. I'm looking at Dustin Rhodes, for example. Thank you guys for the bless you and the Gazun type. So we will still have at least one commercial break, I'm pretty sure. But the match has been good so far, so I'm not going to argue. This should cause a little bit of carnage. But honestly, if this is the main event and the show ends after this match, this is going to feel like kind of a waste of a SmackDown. Nothing's really happened. Brock looked good, but he just did what he did last week. Charlotte did basically what she'd been doing with Toni Storm the entire time. Naomi and Sonya are just repeating themselves. Nothing new is happening on SmackDown recently. They're spinning their wheels until day one. Oh, we're talking Haaland on NXT, are we? About time he got involved. KJ says, one thing I think is amazing about AEW is how they're missing Kenny, Mox, and Jericho, and it doesn't feel like it. That's true. There are certain things I have to give AEW immense credit for. Building their upper mid-card, guys like Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, MJF, they've done a fantastic job with that. So if they lost all of their top stars right now, they'd be fine. They'd be absolutely fine, exactly as you've described there. They've got a good undercard that works with that. The problem is, if I tune in next week, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what the stories are, and they're not going to tell me. Jermaine says, the problem is there's no new ideas in Hollywood. That's why we keep getting all these sequels. It's true. It's true. I am still waiting for my opportunity to write a casino heist which turns into a zombie movie. That's different. So that, you've got two people in the van and it starts with, okay, we're breaking you in, and ends with, okay, we've got to break you out before things get worse. I just think that'd be a great film. Jermaine says, next Friday, Spider-Man No Way Home. I am booked to see that on the Friday. I'm looking forward to it. And Rob says, Brock showed some of this back in the Ruthless Aggression era with his mariachi band stuff, angle interactions, etc. I do recall that. I recall it very fondly. Wolfgamer says, I'm very happy that I get to play catch-up with the recent Spider-Man movies before the new one comes out. Good stuff. Is it, J-Dub? Is that already a thing? I've been sitting on that for years. Is that already a thing? Boo. I've just realised that Jackass guys are at ringside. They're going to play into the finish, aren't they? Well, J-Dub, you've just ruined all of my dreams. I am now going to watch it and hope for the best. Oh, is that the one we did? Oh. Okay, now I'm excited. KJ says the dark match tonight is Becky versus Charlotte versus Banks versus Bianca for the SmackDown Women's title. Well, that makes sense. Now it makes sense because that explains why the Charlotte Flair match was so short. Bailey says sometimes odd ideas do get funded in Hollywood. There's a movie 10 years ago titled Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. To be fair, can I just say, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, genuinely an alright movie. Like, I genuinely recommend giving that a watch. Megan says I was going to say that was a Batista one. Been sitting on that for years. Someone was eventually going to get there. Boo. Next week, well, technically, starting tomorrow, I have 9 days straight of no work. It's not a bad life, is it? It's not a bad life. 9 days straight of no work. And in that time, new Spider-Man movie comes out. A new season of The Witcher comes out. Good stuff, good stuff. Sean says, what I don't understand from the Spider-Man trailer is that Doctor Strange said every villain has died facing Spider-Man. Sandman never died facing Spider-Man. Yeah, but he could. Maybe he does in the movie. Also, maybe he's referring to Spider-Man and not Spider-Man. There's a prequel to Army of the Dead? See, J-Dub, you are changing my life right now. Rob is saying there is strife between Randy and Riddle. Ooh. Marill's going for the hot tag. There's really been a lot of focus on RKBro and the Usos. KJ, thank you, saying Viking Raiders beat Jinder and DJ Shanky before the show went on the air. Well, I mean, that'll entertain the crowd. Viking Raiders should work. That's about the safe breaker. I don't know what the safe breaker is, to be honest. I imagine you're asking J-Dub. Sean says your thoughts on I Am Legend. It was okay. It was okay. Bailey says another fun movie, Bubba Hotep, where Elvis chases zombies, starred Bruce Campbell. There is some weird shit in the world, and I'm here for it. We have our final commercial break as we head into the final section. Looks like this will indeed be our final segment, finishing on this match. Jacob says, Army of the Dead came out in the spring and the prequel came out about a month ago. Snyder has been busy since fixing up Justice League. Clearly. We need to talk about zombie movies more often. It's always fun talking zombies. I don't know why, it just is. It may be because my favourite game of all time is The Last of Us, which isn't zombies, but has a zombie dynamic to it, shall we say. My partner has only really played a few games, but of those that she's played the Uncharted games. I'm gonna get her on Last of Us. She gonna cry. I cried. It's fair. Megan says, you could say Sandman died because didn't he just decide to be a sad sand cloud instead of a person? Pretty much, yeah. He realised that he wouldn't be able to make his family happy, as it were, and he just moved on. Absolutely, Robs. I got some holiday time. I'm thrilled. Jacob says there is no downside to talking zombies. Well, I believe Megan has just presented a downside, because that means she's going to talk about Walking Dead. Couldn't tell you a thing. Couldn't tell you a thing about Walking Dead beyond halfway through season 5 when I abandoned it entirely. Megan says, Uncharted and The Last of Us. Tell me you have a PlayStation without telling me you have a PlayStation. Fair. Still, the most fun I've had on a stream is when we sat and we played all of Last of Us, start to finish, and I streamed for 12 hours. I streamed for 10.5 hours. Amazing time. Genuinely loved every second of it. Jermaine says, I wish people stopped saying, oh, they got released by the WWE, so they're going to go right to AEW. Just stop saying that because AEW have their own problems, like trying to retain viewership. Yep, that's absolutely right. AEW need to stop hiring people. They do. They can't give all of these people TV time, and attempting to do so is keeping their retention rate low. It's preventing them. That is correct, Megan. I know none of these people. I do not wish to. KJ says they may have literally just handed Jeff Hardy away on a golden platter. Maybe, but to be fair, they weren't using him anyway. Let the guy go. You know? Let him try and do something elsewhere. We still have Riddle building to the hot tag with the Usos. This better end in just RKO spam. Just pure RKO spam. It's been ages. The camera panned away just before Kofi landed a hit on Randy Orton. It's not like you couldn't see it coming. Jesus Christ. Oh, Kofi. Please stop that double stomp. You can't do it. They show us a replay because they missed it, but they do it during an active cover. Kevin Dunn, sort your shit out. See, I enjoyed what I have seen of Supernatural, but I don't have the time to commit to it. Megan, the issue I have with Walking Dead is that there are no innocent people left in it. There are no people worth saving. Everyone in it deserves to die at this point. And from what I can tell, the characters you're talking about, yeah, they're not innocent either. There's got to be something worth saving. There's got to be something worth saving. That's all it comes down to for me. Oh, careful, KJ. Megan will come after you. Which will be good, because then she'll stop spiking my cherry coke and making it taste bad. Evil. Evil. Rob says Riddle is always a selling machine for the hot tag. He is. Ultimately, I think that's hierarchy. Randy Orton is still Randy Orton, you know? You've got to respect the guy enough to be the guy who takes the beating on his behalf. Sean said, has anyone watched the Hawkeye series? Is it good? I'm looking forward to it. Have not watched it yet. It's on my list. See, watching Supernatural, the brief times I did it, it just made me want to watch Dark Angel again. Which, by the way, guys, I at some point pitched a reimagining of Dark Angel. I built myself a villain that I was very, very proud of. And then built a Dark Angel 4-season arc around it. Now, I've not really still got it. Eventually, it didn't go very far, and I hated it enough to get rid of it because I'm a writer, and that's what writers do. But it existed. And at some point, I'd love to tell you guys some more. KJ says Randy Orton will be a good number 30 for the Rumble as it's in his hometown. True, fair, but it does mean that he'd get the pop and wouldn't last very long because he's definitely not winning this year. Megan says, I've only seen bits of Dark Angel, basically the Jensen bits. I feel that you would enjoy it. That's my opinion. I feel that you would enjoy it. It's got the right connection of things that I feel would just be right down your alley. Or up your alley, depending on whether you prefer it up or down. Randy Orton is hyping the crowd. The hot tag is coming. The hot tag is here. And Randy Orton's just going to beat down the Usos. Bailey says the last 2 years have been some of Orton's best work. Oh, agreed. MVP of pandemic era, I tell you that. Also, that power slam is amazing. Well, he's just hitting his greatest hits. Just hitting all his big moves. That'll be all he does in this match, but it works. Ah, yes, Megan, because there are 2 Jensens in Dark Angel. Technically, he plays 2 characters. KJ says, I love that Pat has gotten Cole to stand on commentary. I think that may also be down to Randy Orton, to be fair. That's the thing. You know when Randy Orton's in the match, he's going to be dropping people on tables. You know that's coming. And then doing that face he does like... when he breaks someone in half. I love that every now and then you guys just mention wrestlers. No context, just mentioning wrestlers. Randy Orton's got almost too much head of steam. Matt Riddle looks like he's climbing back onto the ringside apron. No RKO yet. Definitely building to our crescendo. That was a very delicate drop by Randy Orton, that back bump. He knew where he needed to be for the splash. Just made sure. Clever by Xavier Woods. We have our first RKO. I'm desperate for that finisher spam. Ready for it. That's why he said New Day. Makes sense. See, I expected New Day to win, but I expected them to pin Riddle. Ultimately, it makes sense. You can say that the best tag team is the one who isn't holding the championships. That's telling. Standard storytelling for WWE. Sean says, Smackdown in Chicago next week. Will there be CM Punk chants? There will probably be less CM Punk chants now that he's back. Now, he's not back with WWE, but he is back. So I think there'll actually be less drive to see him because people can see him. Rob says, yeah, you can tell Orton is enjoying this run, helping the kids along the way. He's making a big difference to Riddle. I wouldn't necessarily call Riddle a kid, but I suspect that moment will come. Certainly he's doing good things for Omos as well. Jermaine says, Jermaine is on YouTube, so he hasn't seen the full conversation going on Twitch, but he says, Tom, they took your idea already. It's on Netflix. Yeah. It was a good idea. It was a good idea. And they're advertising Roman Reigns for next week's SmackDown. we have missed him this week. We have definitely missed him. Definitely missed him. But that is our show. Now, I know you guys will likely be quickly moving across to Rampage because Rampage is showing tonight, and I get that. So what I'd like to do is just say goodnight from here. We have been watching WWE Smackdown. We will be back on Monday for Spoiler Warning and WWE Raw. The next pay-per-view is day one. That will be the next pay-per-view watch party. But in the meantime, huge thanks to everyone who's joined us today. I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic. And I'll see you next week.